we're walking away from that and we're moving in a direction. Well, this old system doesn't work because we haven't really done all of the things it needs to. Let's just get a new one. Well, it's kind of like the car. Some of us have to drive a car around and we just have to keep it repaired. We can't afford a new car. Well, the truth of the matter is right now in America, we need to work on the car that we have, make it better. There are ways to do it. We can overhaul that and make some modifications to it, and I think it make it better, but without gutting that and moving to a government-run healthcare system.
Congressman, when we started this, hide behind you here, we said it was going to be about an hour, but you've got 7 folks in the line there. Will you agree to stick around and answer their questions, please?
Sure. I tell you what, let's do is let's quickly take these folks here in the queue, and then we will adjourn, and I'll be able to hang around for a few minutes. But most importantly, if you didn't get to ask a question or you have some thoughts, those forms that I gave you are very important to me. I hope that you'll take some time and fill those out, because the most compelling testimony that's going on in America today is not what Congressman Nagelbauer says to Nancy Pelosi, but what the American people are saying to Nancy Pelosi and what the American people are saying to this administration. And I want to make sure your voices are heard there. So we're going to quickly go through this group right here in the center, and then we'll adjourn.
Real quick. Tom Deslow. Talking about what everybody else just said a little bit here, the health care, Medicaid. I found some information that says we have an unfunded liability of $34 trillion. The government collects $2 trillion a year in premiums. So obviously that's a problem. Huger than Social Security. Estimated that 20% of every Medicaid dollar goes to criminals, like you were talking, to non-existent claims. In fact, they recently discovered it paid out $100 million for wheelchairs, canes, and prescription drugs prescribed by dead doctors. Okay, that happens all over the place, but we have no control. My wife has just had to take an oxygen concentrator at night to wear oxygen, and this is interesting because it fits right in with mine. Oxygen concentrators that people use for nighttime oxygen needs can be purchased for $600 online, bought, paid for. Though by law, Medicaid has to rent them at a price that ends up being $7,142 over 36 months. Medicaid pays for 80%, so you taxpayers pay for $5,700, and the patient pays $1,400 for a $600 device. Okay, wonderful way things are going. You know, I don't want the government running any more programs that it can't control, and I don't care about me. I'm 58 years old. I'm hopefully going to get some piece of Social Security, maybe. I work for FERS, federal government. I know that's evaporating. I may be working till I'm 90 if I have a job. But I've got a granddaughter sitting back here that's homeschooled. She's 10 years old. And I want her to have a country like I had. I don't want it eroding away and watching Congress waste it. I know we've talked. You feel the same way.
Get your question, because I want to...
Okay, the quick question was, which again, can anybody show me the Constitution where it says we're supposed to go in when a hurricane hits and rebuild somebody's lush home? We're supposed to go make sure everybody has health care. It's not in the Constitution. Right there. If I read it, find it.
Well, it's not in the Constitution, and that's the problem. And we've had this government creep, and the government's in the flood insurance business, it's in the hurricane insurance business. Now it wants to get into more in the health insurance business. And that's somewhere we have to start getting back to personal responsibility.
My name is Mike Sadler from Abilene.
Mike?
You have co-sponsored 2 bills recently that I'm told about. One that required proof of birthplace for the President of the United States. And another that would require congressmen who vote for a national health plan to forfeit their own coverage. These issues conceal the real issues and appeal to the emotions and prejudice of uninformed people. Neither seems to be worth the time that you spent on them. I wonder about how you spend your time if you have time to spend on bills such as these.
All right.
Can you explain the motivation for these bills? You're just trying to appeal to the uninformed population of the district, your constituency. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you in one area. I think the people in the 19th Congressional District are pretty informed, and I think they... One of the major distractions in this country was the election in 2004. In the election in 2000, when it was uncertain what the outcome of the presidency was. In 2000, in this most recent election, we had the folks on one side of the left saying that John McCain was not eligible to be president of the United States. We had people on the right saying that Barack Obama was not eligible to be the president of the United States. And the Constitution, and we talk about following the Constitution is extremely clear. You must be a natural-born citizen to be president of the United States. I signed a bill that says, you know what, in the future, the Federal Election Commission, since that's their responsibility to hold these elections, ought to ascertain that the candidates that are filing for office, and this wasn't an anti-Barack Obama, wasn't an anti-McCain, he just said, you know what, hey, Federal Election Commission, do your job and make sure that the people that are running for president of the United States meet the constitutional requirement. So if following the Constitution is a waste of my time, and I vote on my time. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. This bill is not really about health care when you get down to it. It's about taking the last of our freedom. We know that's why we're all here in across America. Once it was tea, today it's health care, we say, but no, it's actually the taking of our freedom back then, and it's the taking of our freedom now. FDR started entitlements, and we didn't do anything, and along came LBJ from our state and did the two more. Nowhere do I read that we're entitled to any of these in the Constitution. It only says I'm entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm not guaranteed any of them, but I'm given the right to chase them. It comes down to it. There's a fence, and we have to decide which side we're on. I'm a Texan. I remember the Alamo, San Jacinto, and Joliet. I'm an American, sir. What about Valley Forge? Bunker Hill, Pearl Harbor, Iwo Jima, Normandy, Bunker Hill. The town halls Americans are fighting with words for our freedom today, for our republic. Can't allow Pelosi or Reed to pass any type of public health care that will just be like the British Parliament passing a tax on us back in 1773. Today, the battle is Today, the battle is with the words across America. I fear soon the battle will be blood red like it was in 1776. None of Barack's thugs from the SEIU and the Purple Shoots scare us. Tell them that the Republic of America, Republic of Texas, is not intimidated by the thugs. If you would, sir, tell them my name is Paul Jones. I live in Abilene, Texas. I was born free. I'll die free. Don't pray.
Hi, my name is Alexandra Alstetter, and I'm a new student here at McMurray. My major is pre-nursing, and I just wanted to know how this would affect my future in the healthcare industry if this public bill is passed, and how it would affect my ability to help people if I have to go through red tape, or if I want to make sure that the healthcare system is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I would like to know how this is going to affect the people that are working to help other people.
Thank you very much for that question. And welcome to Abilene, and thank you for considering healthcare as a vocation. It's a very important vocation. And one of the things that I hear from hospitals and doctors and all across this district and all across the country is we need more young people like you in getting you interested in healthcare, because there's going to be a lot of us. The population is growing, the population is aging. Our need and demand for our healthcare services is only going to increase. And so that's the reason getting this right is so important. Because if we go to a system where we have to start rationing healthcare, that means we're going to have to start cutting the people, cutting the number of people that can help us provide these services. And so it moves us down the road that we don't want to go. The good news is I have a great deal of faith in America. And we're going to figure out a way to work through this. And sometimes it's not pretty, but do not be discouraged, because you are in one of the most important probably fields in this country. And we're going to work as hard as we can to make sure that we try to get this right. And sometimes we don't get it right the first time. We'll have to keep working on it. But you made a good choice, and thank you for doing that.
I've got one question I want to ask.
Yes, sir.
Was Obama born in Africa, or was he born in Hawaii?
Well, you know
And if
what?
he don't know, let's find out.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with it. This is just, I was listening to Glenn back here, because that's all I listen to this podcast. And something come up that he was talking about. And I thought, he was talking about the Ponzi, Madoff's Ponzi deal. I thought, well, what the heck is Social Security? That's the President, the Congress, and the Senate's Ponzi deal. They cut, in about 30 years ago, after the Vietnam, I was activated for Vietnam for 1 year. I came home. And we had a meeting one time, a chief petty officer, Burley, the insurance shop, and he's dead. But he would take, each time we'd have a monthly drill, he'd have about a 1 hour session of talking about something of interest. Well, he talked about Social Security one day. And I said, Burl, how do I get out of it? He says, it's impossible without an act of Congress. Well, I think this all rotated around from what it was meant for to begin, but I want to put this, have an open mind when I read this to you, and I hope you can understand what I'm saying. The Ponzi scam, the Madoff is Ponzi scam. Is for convenience people to, it convinces people to invest in a good deal for the future. But as the money comes in, it disappears. It's not there for that future. It is stolen. The government started Social Security. We will save it up for you for the future care. The government was going to take care of it. At age 65, or a lower rate, at age 62. Oh, I'd look at 62. For the rest of your life, that's what it's going to be for the rest of your life. Now we don't have enough money to continue our paying for the future care. Nowhere did this money disappear. It was always taken out of our income. I must have had something wrong. To continue our paying for this future care, nowhere did the money disappear. Now, where did the money disappear to? It was always taken out of our income. Was always taken out of our income to ensure our future care. Hey, all this Social Security money must have been stolen. It's not there. Madoff is in prison for his Ponzi scam. I hope he stays there. Wonder who will go to prison for the Social Security Ponzi scam. The presidents, all of the senators and congressmen,
Well,
if it came in, they were spending it.
that's
They
right.
were stealing it.
Yeah. And that's the reason that we've
All the
got
way back in the Bush administration, he was doing it too. It didn't just start.
And keeping it for our future, they were spending it for the convenience and they said it for our benefit. Heck, our benefit wasn't back then when they were spending it. And this bunch in there now is the same way.
Thank you for that comment. We're going to have to quickly, thank you, duly noted, quickly, if you would, we're running short on time, and if you've got a long statement to make, I'll try to see you afterwards, but otherwise, try to keep it a short question so I can give you a quick response.
Hi, Mr. Congressman. My name is Jared Perkins. I'm president of the College Democrats at Abilene Christian University.
Yeah.
My question is twofold. First, earlier you mentioned the statistic that 91% of Americans are insured. I'd like to know where you got that statistic from. Second, I'd like to know where, in general, you get your information from on particular issues such as cap and trade or healthcare.
Well, thank you. Some of it comes from some of the research, professional research service. Some of it comes from listening, to looking at journals and publications of other entities. We get stuff from people like Heritage, a lot of different think tanks. We try to reach out into to people that we think are doing thoughtful research on that. I have some staff members available here, and if you'll see them afterward, we'll get you the source on the information on the healthcare. And the part of it was, I think, surveys, part of it was a poll, and I'm sure there were some statistical conclusions drawn, but we'll get you that information. Thank you for your question. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Vera Forty, and basically I have a question and comment. I know the Congress makes the decision what goes on in the country, and I know that the presidents have nothing basically to do. They're just sticking around there doing nothing. Now, on the welfare part, we have a lot of fraud going on. I mean, 8 out of 10 people don't need welfare. They're there, they're having a bunch of kids just to maintain their lives for their 40, 50 years. Why don't we put a cap on the amount of children and how much they can get? That's what the military does. Whether you have 2 children or 20 children, you get this amount. That's it.
There's been welfare reform in the past. I think there's room to have additional welfare reform. We still have to get back into this country where we're rewarding good behavior instead of rewarding poor behavior. And that ought to be the litmus test of every piece of legislation that we pass in this country. Are we rewarding the people that are trying to do it right? Or are we rewarding the people that aren't trying to do it right? That's one of the problems that I had, quite honestly, with a lot of these programs, is that particularly some of these mortgage programs where we're asking people that are working hard, making their own mortgage payment, now we're going to ask them to make somebody else's mortgage payment. Well, they didn't sign up to pay somebody else's mortgage, yet we're taking their money and doing those. We're doing that in other areas. And we got to stop it because, number one, we don't have the money. It's not even money that we're borrowing the money from the Chinese and other Japanese, and we're going to ask our grandparents to pay it back. Thank you. Yeah. Sir, I'm going to go to this lady back there. This is the last question.
Last question. My name is Edna Smith, and I've got 3 questions. One on health care. I am against abortion. Am I going to be forced to support abortion in this new health care program?
Well, that's a very good question. And here's it doesn't say it will do in the bill, but here's what it does say. Under this new program, in this maze here, is a bureau, a department that's going to determine what kind of coverage is permitted and prohibited. All they have to do in this bill is just to say, they don't have to say it covers abortion. All they can do is just say it doesn't prohibit paying for abortion. So many of us want to have specific language in this bill that says no taxpayer dollars under this public option will go to pay for abortions. We think we ought to be.
My second question is, can we get some stimulus money here in Texas to build some factories to create some real jobs that will stay in America?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been nice if we had used the stimulus money for real things? Instead, we're using it to subsidize states that haven't been, taking care of their business. Only about 12% of the stimulus money has actually been distributed. It isn't working. The unemployment for the 9 million new unemployed people in America, they would tell you, hey, the stimulus package has not worked. If you want to stimulate the American economy, leave the money in the pockets of the American people. When you let small businesses all across when you let small businesses all across the 19th Congressional District, which is primarily the major employers in this, when you let them have capital in their companies, they can go out and buy a new piece of machinery. Then when they buy that new piece of machinery, they need somebody to operate that piece of machinery. And that increases their volume. They start making profit, then they can buy another piece of machinery and hire somebody else to pick one. But when you start taking all of the money away from the small businesses in America, you're taking all of the jobs away. We've got to stop that. Thank you.
Congressman, we want to thank you on behalf of the City of Abilene and McMurray University for engaging in an open discussion, answering questions, and bringing back home the importance of representative government in the United States of America. Thank you very much, and we sure appreciate it.
Thank you very much.